Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Medicine Walk. And I'm Dr. Ayleen, and it's been one of those crazy mornings, and so I'm just glad to be here, and I'm glad to have you here. And I'm glad that, well, I'm glad I have my hat back. Although last week was kind of fun with kind of tapping into that idea that, well, when things change, just adapt and maybe you'll find something else cool. So for those of you, maybe I'll pull that other hat out at some point because it is kind of silly and kind of fun. So on Medicine Walk, we're going to be talking about believe, I dare you. And there's a saying that goes, what would we dare if we knew we couldn't get it wrong? If we knew that whatever it was that we wanted to try to do, it was going to work out okay and it was going to be great, what would we dare to do? And I know that, inside of me, there were all these little, things of, wow, I would really like to do this with my life, or I'd really like to do that with my life. And I think probably most people have that. Most people have that little secret passion in their heart that, maybe they want to learn to play the piano, or they've always wanted to be able to speak Russian, or they've always wanted to visit the Grand Canyon, or they've always wanted to be a doctor or a counselor or climb Mount Everest, or whatever it is that that thing inside of you that you would love to do, that for some reason you haven't done because, well, maybe you thought you were too young, or maybe you were too old, or maybe you weren't in good enough shape, or maybe you didn't have enough education, or maybe you didn't have enough money. And while all of those things can be true, it doesn't mean it has to keep you from being able to do the things that you want to do. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. And this is a topic that really kind of fires me up a little bit. And the reason it fires me up is that there is nothing I love more than seeing somebody pursue their passion, to see them get excited about what they're going to do. And especially when they get to share that, and they, when somebody is talking about doing something that they're really passionate about, I mean, their whole face lights up. Everything lights up about them. There's this optimism and this hope. And one of the things that saddens me the most is seeing somebody give up on that because of other people telling them all the reasons why it won't work. When it comes down to it, whether or not something works starts in your own heart, in your own mind, in your own spirit. And yeah, there's always reasons why something won't work. And okay, maybe, those are valid reasons. That whether or not something is going to work until you try. And as I've said before, I totally disagree with Yoda. There is try. And there's try and try again. Because that's what you do if at first you don't succeed. If it doesn't work one way, find another way to make it work. Make it happen. And, that can sound like, oh, well, it's easy to say. Well, yeah. And it can be a tough thing sometimes. And it can really weigh onto your heart when you think about what it is in your heart that you really want to do. What is it that, if you just sit and think about it for a few minutes, you can't help but smile if you picture doing this. And it could be something very simple. It could be, wow, I would really love to, go to a belly dancing class. And maybe that's what you want to do. And you can go, and yeah, it's not going to be easy at first, but after a while you learn and you adapt to it. And, hey, maybe you end up not being so bad at it. So when you think about whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you want to achieve, you'd like to retire in Costa Rica, which if you've never been, it is tremendously beautiful and I totally recommend it. Or in England, which is totally cool and I recommend it. So, you know, I've had a wonderful opportunity to go to a lot of different places. And I wouldn't have gone to any of them if in my heart I didn't think, man, I really wish I could do that. I really want to do that. So do it. A long time ago, someone once said that if you say you're going to do something, not if you're going to do something, but you say, well, you know what, one day I'm going to do this, then it just becomes a matter of how. And once you figure out and put the how pieces together, and you know, maybe it's not going to happen in a minute, maybe you've got to plan something out. If what you want to do is, you know, a very sort of basic, simple thing, like going to a belly dancing class or learning how to salsa dance or whatever you want to do, you know, that could be something that you could learn probably, you know, and then it's just a matter of practicing. Now, if you want to go climb to the top of Mount Everest, okay, that's going to take a little bit more because there's a lot involved in that. If you just decide that you want to jump out of an airplane and have that experience, you can do that in an afternoon. I mean, you know, they hook you to somebody else, and you know, it's like the jumps for people who have never had an experience, they do them as tandem jumps. And you don't have to take any classes, you know, they give you the instructions, strap you to a perfectly nice stranger, and you fling yourself out of an airplane. Yeah, I did that too. And it was an amazing experience. And if you've thought to yourself, you know what, I've always wanted to do that, then you can do that very quickly. And it is amazing how it changes your life. It is empowering, it is humbling. Make sure you wear like earplugs or something, because you can get pain in your ears with the altitude, and dress warmly because it's really cold out there. But that would be something. Let's say if you said, you know what, I've always wanted to do that. That is very easily done. And you know, you can, once you have the experience, then you can go, wow, I had that experience and I will never be the same as I was before I had the experience. So that's something very cool, very quick, and you know, not too horribly expensive, because believe me, you don't want to go bottom of the line on something like that. So you want to make sure that you have, you know, the information, because if you, whatever you want to do, whether it's major or small, get your information together first. Finding reasons why you can't, because a lot of times it can fall into that. Oh, well, I'm going to find a reason why I can't do this. Well, it would be really expensive. Okay, how expensive? Let's say you wanted to go to Europe, and yeah, that can be a very expensive trip. But you don't stop at, well, it's expensive. It's like, well, how expensive? Are there ways to offset the expense? Are there deals that you can get involved in? Are there tours that reduce, you know, because you're a part of a tour, that it reduces the price? You know, the stop sign doesn't have to be at, oh, well, that's expensive. Because there are many ways to put something together, to organize it, and if nothing else, to figure, okay, how long do I need to save and how much do I need to put aside a month to be able to go at the point that I want to. So yeah, you can manage these things. Become, you know, ways to build excitement towards something rather than be a reason not to. And speaking of reasons not to, some people can be very well-meaning and at the same time suck the entire life out of a dream. And I'm sure every one of us knows at least one person who's very good at that. They're a very sweet person, they mean well, and yet they will give you every reason why something can't be done. Okay, you love them, but you don't listen to them in that point. If this, because I mean, this is something for your heart. This is something for your life. You know, we get this time around to go through and do the things that we want to do, and to have a little fun, and to make a few people smile along the way, and to, you know, live out our dreams. Because my belief is that when I leave this life, there is a spirit, a consciousness that I refer to as creator. That individual is going to look at me, smile, and say, so, how did you enjoy the gifts I gave you? How did you enjoy playing in the world that you had? And I am going to say, man, I made the most of it. It was a rush. It was a hoot. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Because, you know, we do have this time here. And sometimes life can get away from us. Sometimes after a while, we spend time thinking, oh, well, that's okay. You know, I'll take care of it next year. I'll deal with it next year. You know, maybe I'll take that trip after I retire. My sister was 28 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was, she had her youngest daughter in March, and then that November she was diagnosed. And when her daughter was 6, so it was about 6 years. She was diagnosed at 28. She died at 34. And as she worked through that process, and, you know, there were times when it was okay, and then there were times when it was really, really hard. And so one of the things, she went to a conference, and it was, you know, for people with terminal illnesses. And she said that one of the things they said was, what is the gift that this condition has given you? Which she thought was the most ignorant thing that anybody could possibly ask, because she said, there are no gifts in this. But then she thought about it. And she said that the gift it gave her was it took away someday. Someday she was going to take her kids to Disneyland. Well, she put her money together and she took her kids to Disneyland. Now, she was in a wheelchair when she did it, but she took them and she wore this big funny hat. And she said that it was really fun because people wanted to make friends just so they could get on the rides faster since she was in a wheelchair. You know, they had the special boarding for the rides. But she had that memory, and her kids would have that memory. And when she she came out to visit me, and I was living in Louisiana at the time, and then her remission ended. But she said that she always wanted to go to a New Orleans jazz festival. So she came out during the time that the jazz festival was happening, and, you know, I couldn't go with her, and I was really worried. It's like, well, you're going into the city. She said, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. So she rented herself a car, and off into the city she goes. And I was expecting her back around, you know, like maybe 9, 10 o'clock. She roams in soaking wet at about 4 in the morning. And I was just, it's like, oh my gosh, you could have called. What the heck? You know, I was worried about you. And she just looked at me and said, look, I danced on the stage. And apparently she was dancing up near the stage, and the band invited her up onto the stage. And it was pouring rain, but she was up there and she was dancing. She danced on the stage of the New Orleans Jazz Festival and enjoyed it. That took away that someday that might have been left behind. She claimed. She always said she wanted to take rumba lessons. And so she took rumba lessons until it was too difficult for her to move around and walk. But she still had that. Someday doesn't have to be that point out there that's just a reason for us not to do things. You've got today. And pretty much there's no promise of anything else, but we can make the most of today. Set in your mind something in your heart that you want to do, something in your heart that big thing, like I said, or maybe it's a small thing. Maybe you always wanted to see what it felt like to skydive. Or maybe you've always wondered, how warm the water is in the Caribbean and how clear the water is. Think of those places that you've always wanted to see, that you've only seen in pictures and in videos and on, nature programs. Maybe you've always wanted to pet a koala bear. Or maybe you've always wanted to see the glaciers in Alaska. What is it that you want to do? Maybe there's just someone in your life who you've always wanted to tell them how much they mean to you. That's a fairly easy one. You can do that. Always wanted to become a healer. No, you're not too old. You're not too anything, because you can become a healer at any point in your life. Because all being a healer means is that you're there for people, and that you want the best for them, and that you're willing to hold their hand or sit by them or be in that space with them. I mean, yeah, you can learn techniques. You can learn Reiki. You can learn, many other forms of energetic healing. You can go to school to learn to become a massage therapist. You can take coursework to become an acupuncturist. You can do whatever you want to do. All you have to do is figure out how. And how doesn't have to be overwhelming. You break the how down into little pieces. You figure out what you can do with, your time. If you work full time and yet you've always wanted to be a massage therapist, yeah, you got to figure out, okay, how can I go to school around my work schedule? The things I need to take care of and still be able to grab that dream with both hands. And you can grab that dream with both hands. You can believe that it's possible, because that's where it starts. It starts with believing that it's possible. Believing that your dream is just as valid as anybody else's dream and just as possible as anybody else's dream. Now, if you, as I've said, if you decide you want to be an Olympic gold medalist and, maybe you're a little bit older and maybe you're not, quite in the shape to go out and claim an Olympic gold medal, then I tell you what, I'll bet you could save up and say, you know what, at the next Olympics, I'm going to pick my favorite event and I'm going to be sitting right there in the audience. I'm going to see it live. Part of that. Or, maybe you're not going to be able to, get that gold medal in the, the decathlon or the triathlon or, win an Ironman competition. But I'll bet you could do something. I'll bet you could do one of the mini marathons. And then that way you could also be doing something for a good cause too. You can learn how to feel better, how to ease your body up to where it can be able to deal with the demands of something more active. But think about the dream. Have you ever wanted to learn to sing, or maybe sing in public? Maybe you've always wanted to do stand-up comedy and go to one of those little open mic nights. Or maybe you've wanted to go someplace and read poetry that you've written. Maybe you want to be able to ride a horse. There's a lot of things that are out there too. And being able to embrace that what you dream, you need to give attention to. You need to be able to say, you know what would I need to do that? Because it costs nothing but a few minutes of your time to think, well, if I really wanted to do that, what would I need to do it? What information would I need? What resources would I need? What resources do I already have? And what would I need to go out and get? How much time would I need to make to be able to do this? All of these are questions, and questions are, like I said, questions cost you nothing but time. Ask somebody who's already doing it. If you know somebody who, routinely goes to Burning Man and you've always wanted to go to Burning Man, you say, you know what? So what is it like? How would I get there? How would I do that? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? Because while Burning Man is on one of my lists, the idea that, you know, I mean, it's not just going out for a weekend of camping or something. Apparently, there's a lot of stuff. And as the more I read about it, it's like, oh, okay, well, you really need to prepare for that. And maybe you just want to take a trip to Hawaii. Well, there's a lot of islands. Which island would you like? What do you want to be your focus? Where would you like to stay? What would be the things about going to Hawaii that would be most significant? I mean, is it just going and hanging out on a beach, eating chocolate-covered macadamia nuts, which I do love chocolate-covered macadamia nuts? Or is it that maybe you want a spiritual journey and you want to study into the shamanic traditions, you know, of the islands and of the people, and you want to go meditate or go to a spa, you know, vacation or something like that? Whatever it is you want to do, any one of the things that you want to do, because there's probably more than a couple of things that you would like to do. I've got lists of things that I would like to do. I haven't seen New Zealand yet. I would love to go to New Zealand and Australia. That's on my list of things to do. At some point, maybe Burning Man. I still would like to go and, what are some of the things? Oh, go to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii. I've never been to the Caribbean. I would like to go on a cruise. And I think that would be very cool to go on a cruise somewhere. And so, you know, all these things are things that it's like, you know what? Yeah, those are possible. Other people do it. Because that's the thing. Other people have done it. So if other people have done it, why can't you? Believe. I dare you. Embrace what's possible. Embrace that maybe it's not so far-fetched as you think. Maybe you do have more resources than you realize. Maybe it's not so overwhelming if you break it down into little small bits and, you know, you kind of bite here and bite here at it. Set up a schedule of saying, okay, by this time, you know, I can have this part done, and by this time I can have this part done. Incorporate other people who share that dream. If you've got a whole group of people who have never been on a cruise yet would love to, put together a group, because often you can get things less expensive if you have a group. Maybe you've always wanted to see Stonehenge, or maybe you've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower, or the Vatican, or the Roman Colosseums, or an African safari. Oh, sunset in Africa. And I've had an opportunity to go to Africa, and it's amazing. Or maybe you want to go to the, you know, deep into the rainforest in Brazil, which, amazing. You see, I've had a lot of things that I've been able to do that have been taking things off of my personal bucket list, off my list of things that I want to do, of my dreams. Being a chiropractor, and I am. And it was a lot of work. And there was a lot of sacrifice involved. And it was worth every minute. I wanted to be someone who could work with earth energies and who could connect with the earth and be able to embrace a lot of different spiritual paths. And I became one. And it's the best. I wanted to be able to teach. That was my dream. And now I do. And it's amazing. What's your dream? What is it that calls your heart? It's not silly. And I don't care how many people tell you it's silly. I'm telling you it's not. I'm telling you that your dream is just as valid, just as real, and just as amazing, and just as special as anyone else's. You can do this. You can be able to create what it is that you want to create. You just have to be willing to do the work for it and to figure it out and to think about it. You know, that's the amazing part of our brains. We've got the, you know, the right side that's, you know, really, you know, creative and looking at things and looking at bigger perspective and imagination. But then we also have that left side that is analytical and figures stuff out. That's that puzzle solving, that problem solving. We can use both half of our brains to make our dreams come true, because part of it is dreaming it, and the other part is figuring out, okay, how do I make this happen? How do I bring it in? And how do I keep my energy up so that that way I can, stay focused? Because at times when, I have to go through the hard stuff, how do I keep myself motivated? How do I remind myself? Maybe I put pictures of what I want to do. Maybe I do a vision board. Maybe I have regular talks with someone who's already doing it so I can stay motivated and do it myself. And that's the biggest part. Because once you can believe, once you can say, you know what, I can do this, and I can figure out a way, and I can get the resources I need, and I can make it happen. I believe that you can. I believe in you, and I believe in your dream. I believe in it too, because we all have dreams, and making a dream come true is awesome. And oh, by the way, we can help others get their dreams going too. Because as you believe in your dream, it automatically inspires other people to believe in theirs. They see you doing something, and then they think to themselves, wow, you know what? I've always wanted to do this particular thing. I could do that. Because that way not only are you doing your thing, you're inspiring others to do theirs. And I think that if we can get a whole bunch of people making their dreams come true, well, I think the world would be a much more balanced place. And we would be a much more balanced species if we're having a little bit more fun and enjoying making our dreams come true and celebrating as other people make their dreams come true too. So believe. I dare you. Because if you do, find that your world suddenly becomes a much more interesting place, a much more balanced place, a much more exciting place. And you become a much more empowered you. So go out there, believe, because I believe in you. So thank you for joining me. And if you would, you can like, share, comment, and I do answer the comments, and subscribe, because it's always fun to see the subscribers, get more and more subscribers as we build this community, that we can all take this walk in life together. And for those of you who go on Facebook, you can join my Facebook group, which is Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen. And you can, get into that, and there'll be announcements and notices that go out with that. There's some stuff that's going to be coming up, so there'll be some announcements next week. Please tune in, because there's some exciting stuff coming. And I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you are. And so, yeah, for everyone, I hope you have a wonderful, safe Memorial weekend for all those who are here in the U.S. For those of you who are outside of the U.S., I wish you an amazing, wonderful week. And I look forward to our time together again next Thursday, same time. And until then, as always, I wish you balance, and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you.